Joining me now is Washington Democratic Congressman Adam Smith. He is the ranking member on the House Armed Services Committee. And Congressman, we have reporting that the Marines could be used to accompany and transport ICE personnel on the ground in Los Angeles. It could happen as soon as today. From your experience, what is that going to look like in practice? And do you believe that Marines are trained for this theater?
No, they're absolutely not trained for this theater. And in practice, it's never been done before. Look, the president is once again expanding his power unlawfully, going beyond what the statute clearly limits him to in an effort to exercise more power. There was no situation in Los Angeles that was not being handled by the local police. President Trump wanted this fight. He wanted to try to expand his power to use the military domestically, and that's what he's doing. And the legal justification for this does not stand up to scrutiny. And crucially, to your point, the Marines are trained to fight wars. They're not trained for civilian crowd control or for dealing with situations like this. It was completely unnecessary, and it's really dangerous and could risk escalation, as we have seen.
I mean, is it in many ways, if you were to compare it to trying to fix a problem in your house and you need a wrench and you're using a hammer instead? I mean, it's the wrong type of soldier or even law enforcement person to put in a situation like this. Couldn't that make the situation worse?
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because just like a week ago, the toilet in my office was kind of running, and I went back there to try to fix it, and it sprung a leak, which created a much larger problem, which fortunately the service crew here was able to fix. But yeah, look, I mean, we had a couple hundred protesters when this started, and crucially, ICE was carrying out their job. Yes, there were people protesting and yelling at them. Some of them were violating the law by throwing things, and they were arrested by the Los Angeles Police Department. And meanwhile, ICE did their job. You know, they picked up people and they've deported them. There was no evidence whatsoever that they were being stopped. And in response to that, the president has sent 4,700 troops, 4,000 National Guard and Reserve, and 700 Marines. To say that's overkill is just a massive understatement. It risks escalation. But again, I keep coming back to the fact that I think the president wanted to do this. He wants to set a precedent. And you heard Secretary Hegseth allude to that in his testimony today, that they want to do this elsewhere. This is a dangerous escalation of authoritarian power that every American who loves freedom and individual rights to be concerned about. We've never seen a president do this before. It is a clear violation of the rights of the American people.
And I heard you say earlier that you believe that the president wants to turn the U.S. military into his own personal police force. I mean, what would that look like, and to what end?
Well, it would look like what we're seeing in Los Angeles. If he sees a policy being implemented somewhere in the country that he doesn't like, he can use the military to enforce it. And that can have a whole series of different applications. Obviously, the focus right now is on immigration. And let me be clear, we need a secure border. We need to enforce our immigration laws, and we need local law enforcement to do their job. And, you know, over the course of the last 5 or 6 years, there's been some instances where we have struggled with that. But this is not one of them. The president is using that as a pretext to use the military in a way that it should not be used. There's a reason our laws and our Constitution have been very clear about civilian control of the military, and the law has been very clear. The military is not supposed to be able to enforce laws within the U.S., and that is the line that President Trump is stepping over.
And I want to go back to what you said earlier, and I think perhaps there's a perception out there that this situation was out of control, that ICE wasn't able to get the job done. But from your viewpoint, they actually were able to carry out the president's mass deportation plan, and the LAPD was doing its job.
Yeah, it's not my viewpoint. It's not debatable. I mean, they are, in the days before the troop strike, they were arresting and deporting people out of Los Angeles. You know, there was no instance where ICE, went to, I don't know, as they've been going after workplaces, where they were repelled and not allowed to come into the place, or they weren't able to transfer the detainees wherever they wanted to transfer them to. Yeah, they had a group of people yelling at them, but that's sort of part of the rights that we have as Americans to protest. And again, crucially, some of those people did violate the law by throwing things at ICE officers. Obviously, we've seen some things set on fire. Those people should be arrested, and then they have been arrested.
So I want to talk.
It's really a pretext here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I want to talk about the parade planned here for Washington this weekend, the military parade. I want to play for you a little bit about what President Trump said about it in the Oval Office yesterday.
there's any protester who wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way, for those people that want to protest, they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest, but, you know, this is people that hate our country, but they will be met with very heavy force.
So there's a wide range of predictions as to what type of counter-protest or protest at all there may be around this parade. But what's your reaction to what the president said? Did that sound like a president hoping for escalation to you?
Yes. And it also sounded like a president who doesn't want to be a president. He wants to be a dictator. He wants to be an authoritarian. Notice he didn't say if they violate the law, if they try to stop. No, if they protest, if they speak against his policies, they will be met with force. I mean, I cannot imagine a more un-American thing to say. And this is a president saying that the people who are going to show up are the ones who hate our country. It sounds to me like Donald Trump is the one who hates our country. He hates our freedoms and he hates our democracy. He wants what he wants, and he doesn't want anyone to stand in the way of that. And that's not what our country is based on. I mean, go back to what he said. If protesters show up, basically, if anyone shows up to speak their mind, as they have a right to do under the First Amendment, they are going to be met with extreme force. Yeah, I mean, we are crossing over the line into an authoritarian government here, and I would hope this wouldn't be a partisan issue. Look, we've got problems with President Trump on a wide range of issues, and those problems have been expressed passionately, just like Republicans had problems with President Biden. You know, but this goes way beyond that. This is an authoritarian trying to take away the rights of all Americans.
And then finally, we don't have that much time left, but there's the possibility that these ICE raids may show up in your state and the city of Seattle. What would you recommend to folks that would like to protest this type of action? Is there value in that? How should they handle themselves if you have constituents that are concerned about this?
No, well, they already have to some extent. We've had these types of raids in different places in Washington state, and I think it's perfectly appropriate for people to protest that and speak out, but don't try to impede the enforcement of the law. And if you do, be prepared to be arrested. Look, there's a long history of people doing, peaceful protests, sit-ins, standing in places and being arrested. That's the enforcement of the law, and that should be expected. Express your views, do so peacefully.
Mm-hmm. All right. Congressman Adam Smith, thank you as always for being on, sir. We appreciate it.
Thanks for the chance.